when my first crush went home with her husband. It was my uncle's secretary. She went home with her husband. As a kid, I was like, no, she's supposed to come with me.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Cosmic Chats. Today we have the wonderful Willis Turner. He is a father, also a comedian, and travels around the US and the globe. But today we're getting down and dirty, and he's telling us of how his heart was broken at 6 years old by an older woman, and then how his romantic endeavors led from there. So how would you describe the taste of a banana to someone who's never eaten one?
I would say it's a very sweet, bland taste. I don't know. It's just bland. I mean, it's not bad. It's not great, but it's just sweet, if that makes sense. To me.
Would you say it's a staple in your diet?
Yes. When I know that I'm going to have a rushed week, it will be very much a staple because it allows me to have something to eat quick, easy to eat while I'm on the go, and not have to do a lot of thinking about it.
It's just there. It's easy because it's got that package, isn't it? Really.
Yeah. And I don't have to worry about, oh, what am I going to do with the wrapper?
Right. It's biodegradable.
Yes.
Or great entertainment if you leave it on the floor.
Well, yeah, I've never seen anyone slip on a banana ever. As many times as we've ever said.
Only in cartoons.
Right. Only in cartoons have I ever seen anyone slip on a banana.
What has happened? What's happened in other things the cartoons have us believe as children that are not true?
That road runners say beep beep.
Okay. Yes. And also, so I always thought as a kid that owls would go twit woo, twit woo, twit woo. No, it was only until about a year ago I realized I was always surrounded by owls. Like there's one outside where I live as I grew up, and it's not that sound at all. How come everyone else got the message? Like I would do school trips, we'd never hear the sound of an owl. We'd always look at the owl. I've never seen an owl actually make that sound, but when I hear people like, oh, that's an owl. Thank goodness for YouTube. Where would I be?
You'd still be out thinking is twit-hoo.
Twit woo, twit woo, twit woo. Right?
Well,
and birds don't chirp neither.
No, you want to know, what else happened? Okay, so cartoons had me believe that if I ran a certain way, I ran faster. So I ran in this way, and it's the worst way to run because cartoons, they run bent over, right? They run bent over, and that's horrible. You're supposed to stand up. I ran track. I was an athlete, believe it or not.
Do they think there was more aerodynamics if you were like this?
I guess. And I thought, because I remember Tarzan in a cartoon, he ran bent over.
Roadrunner.
Yeah, just everything was.
They're stuck in the ready, set.
Yes.
Image, and do you think there was a lazy animator that just didn't change it?
They never changed it.
They never did track.
Right. They were like, all I have to do is paint the legs differently.
And the whole entire background. Forget the actual subject.
Right.
That's hilarious. I never thought about that. Actually, your first crush, was it on a cartoon character or a real person?
A real person.
Oh, okay. Your first celebrity crush, was it cartoon or a real person?
real person.
You're no fun. Okay. I'm kidding. No, my first celebrity crush was a cartoon character.
Really?
Yes. And we're moving on from that. So you can find out the answers if you put comments in the chat. And if you like Willis, please do a thumbs up and put a comment in it and share. Don't forget to subscribe. But now we're going to get to the meat of it. So Willis, when did you have your first existential life crisis as a child? Not a cartoon.
I would say when my first crush went home with her husband.
Okay, I'm so intrigued by this. So the first crush was when you were younger.
Yes.
And then you had a reunion when you were older. Is that what happened?
No, she went home with her husband. As a kid, I was like, no, she's supposed to come with me.
Oh, so it was like you had a crush on your teacher?
No, it wasn't my teacher. It was my uncle's secretary.
Oh, okay, but it was a more mature woman.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, and what did you realize after that?
I realized women like men that are taller.
It didn't occur to you, like, how old were you at the time?
I was 6.
You were 6. So
Yeah.
that had nothing to do with it in your brain.
No, nothing.
I'm very intrigued by this. So did you develop relationships where there was age gaps?
Yes. I did date, a lot of times I would date older women. In my 20s, I dated women that were in their 30s and 40s.
Mm-hmm. And that was what, a decade or so ago?
About there, a little bit.
Okay, all right. Yeah, no need to be offended.
Yeah.
The reason why I asked is because nowadays, and we're in 2022 right now, there is just a wave of knowledge about chaps in their 20s or 30s dating older women. There's like less taboo, even though there is some still. But even a decade or so ago, that would have been a no.
Yeah.
Did you get a lot of rebuttal?
No, I didn't.
Were you scary?
Was I scary?
Yeah, like people are like, oh, don't ask Willis about it. You're just gonna get done for.
No. I don't even know what done for means, but knocked out.
Do you in? Yes, you in?
Do you? Not that they were afraid. I didn't walk around with their being or feeling like the women didn't look that much older than me. Luckily, they looked really good for their age.
But everybody knew.
Yeah.
They knew that they were.
They knew that they were older than me.
Yeah. So no one ever pulled you aside and said, listen, if you want to have babies, don't do it.
No.
This is great. I think there's a formula here, because usually that's like the conversation, isn't it? Right?
Yeah. Because you think I wasn't thinking about having babies. I was thinking, I was really more focused on my career as a comic. So kids and stuff was not in my forethought.
So it was almost as if everybody kind of assumed that this was a temporary thing anyway.
Probably, yeah. They probably did. But they realized I was more focused on my career.
Right. And do you think that's because the older women were already established in what they were doing, and they knew what it meant to have a career?
Yeah. And they understood my drive. And they didn't question whether I was doing the right thing or nothing like that. You know what I mean? Like I didn't have, well, why aren't you spending time with me? It was, no. This is what you have to do to establish yourself. So that was the good thing.
That was the good thing, that you didn't have to fight against wanting to be in a relationship and also have a career, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. And so your most long-term, let's say your most successful relationship where you're happiest, right? So you've
Mhm.
gone through some phases of that. Is that also someone who has a significant age gap, sorry, or no?
No, no. So I've been married twice. Imagine that. So both of my wives were the same age as me. I'm married now. My wife now, her birthday is actually just 10 days after mine.
Mm,
And so, and then my first wife, she's 5 months younger than me. So
so
I've
that,
always,
yeah,
yeah,
so basically the older women were not ones that you were in getting into a marriage commitment.
no, no, I wouldn't do that.
You wouldn't do that.
Well, I would have done it. It's just, I wasn't, it wouldn't have, it didn't come up.
Oh,
They
okay.
weren't looking to get married. The women that I was dating, the older women weren't looking to get married.
Right,
At
right.
least not to me.
Mm. Ah, ooh. Well, that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, with those relationships, did they end amicably?
Yes.
Okay, so they were amicable. And what do you think was you think it was timing when you ended up with someone around your own age, like you were just at the right time, or was it because, uh-oh, somebody's gonna have a baby, better get married?
No, right time. Just right time. My that's, that's the funny thing is my first wife, they're like, why are you getting married? She pregnant? I was like, you do know people who get married without people being pregnant. Like this is not, oh, you get pregnant, then you get married. It's generally you get married, then you get pregnant. The notion that like my wife now, she's not pregnant. I just married her. It's just,
Well, congratulations.
yeah. Huh?
So that was your first existential life crisis. Uh, so you then had a habit of dating older women. Was there a decision to start dating people your own age, or did it just happen?
It just happened.
Mm,
Excuse me. It just happened, you know.
mm.
Mm,
Would you say that you are an individual that consciously would go for a type, or was it just an intuition that you were curious about someone?
I I conscientiously go for a type, but my type is it's a big gap in the type. My type is beautiful.
Okay, well, that's in the eye of the beholder, right?
As long as
So
I'm the beholder, yes.
yeah, exactly. Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
So what is your idea of beauty?
Um, what is it's a okay, you're beautiful.
Oh, thank you very much.
You're beautiful. Um, I think there have I don't know. I just know it when it feels like the pornography thing. Well, how do you know it's pornography? I don't know it. I'll know it when I see it.
Yikes. Yikes. Okay, so we're actually talking more about an intuitive,
Yeah.
I would say soul connection,
Yeah.
subconscious, right? Something much
Yes.
deeper,
Yes.
rather than someone will end up with maybe a physical type that they usually like, right? And that person is just abhorred to realize that they are fitting a physical type, right?
Mhm.
So there's something deeper that you're connected to, and that is what resonates with you. Do you think that you were always like that?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you
Uh,
think then when it go ahead, sorry.
I, I was never the one who goes like when everyone would go, oh, this girl is so beautiful. And if I just didn't find her attractive for whatever reason, I just would go, no, she's not. And I would be
Mm.
okay standing in that ground of saying she's not.
And then that is curious because it does take a stand, like we talked at the beginning, for someone to date outside of the so-called norm, right?
Mhm.
Someone
Mhm.
who's older and it not be something that they can be persuaded. So some people, uh, I don't know, some people are like really into astrology. I find it fascinating. They'll say like there's certain signs, like Aquarius, for example, who's
Mhm.
more likely to break the family mold and be like, nope, I'm supposed to be with this person.
Right.
And unless the family gets on board, whereas the majority of people are actually very swayed by their family or the idea of what they're supposed to do, or that this person won't fit that box, or blah blah blah, right? um
Mhm.
you always had that, I think, that inner knowing of what you think is your path. Was there ever a situation that you lost friends or even disconnected with people because of that? And I'm not necessarily talking about a romantic situation right now.
Um, because I know my path, you're saying?
Because you're like, because everyone else is saying one thing and you're like, nope, nope,
Yeah,
that's not right.
I have lost friends. Uh, because I've become very steadfast in what I believe. And like I plant my feet in the ground and I won't move. And that's a benefit and a hindrance all at the same time. And sometimes some friends are like, hey, why aren't you doing this? Everyone else is doing this. And you're like, no, I'm not going to do that. You
What's a
know,
situation that you're comfortable with sharing about as a great example of this, where you put your feet in the ground and said no, whether it worked out or not?
I'll say this. Like one time, I'll say in high school, there was a person, someone who was like, no, I don't like them, and you shouldn't like them either. And it was a whole group of people saying, I'm not gonna like them, right? And I'll go, well, they didn't do anything to me. So I'm okay with liking them. So I don't know what to tell you guys. I like them. So you guys have fun doing whatever you do, but I'm going to go over there and speak to them and say hi to them, and I won't change any behavior I have towards that person. And some people didn't like it, and they wanted me, they didn't want me in the group, but I was like, I don't care. If that either I'm in the group or I'm out, I don't care.
What was the consensus? Did they kick you out?
No, because they were like, well, we still like you, Willis, and you're good to be around. So I was like, okay, well, I'm just telling you my feelings. I didn't say this so that you like me either way, but just how I feel.
Well, high school, that can be quite tricky to do. What about as you've got older, and especially in the last 5 or 6 years, there's been such a wave of correctness.
Yes.
Almost one can't express oneself, even if you're looking at an academic point of view and you're trying to make a point. Has there been anything that's happened where you've had to really stand your ground, and maybe you've lost a few things because you believe so strongly that the way that the consciousness is moving is not necessarily in the healthiest
I
environment?
never, uh, I wouldn't say I've lost any ground. Um, there would be people like um, during the political, let's go, I'll do this political side. And I go, well, why do you believe that? And because they felt so strongly, they were like, oh, well, I see we can't talk about this. And I go, no, no, no. I just ask why.
Mm.
Because my thing is always why, even if I don't believe in that. If I ask you why, it's now you have a chance to show me why I should or shouldn't believe in that. You know what I mean? Um, like I asked the guy, why would you support this person? And they go, well, because he's a good guy. I'm like, but but where has he shown that this, or where has he shown, like, I don't see it. So show me where I can see it. So then maybe I can change my mind. And it's sad that we've come to that point where we can't even share thoughts, share connections with each other. And that's really, to me, the human experience is about connections. It's really, that's what it comes down to. either that. If it wasn't for the connections that we have, we're just moving through this world without anything. Like, we're just blobs in a sense, moving through the.
So they feel uncomfortable sharing about it, really, right?
Yes, yes. It's never
So
been me. I never take on that, how do you say, the mantle of I'm so uncomfortable that I can't talk to you. I believe I can talk to anyone, whether you hate me, you like me, you love me, you have no feeling towards me in any way, other way. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I can, and I like talking to people because then I learn something. And if I learn something, then I can pass that on to either someone else or keep it to myself.
it appears that you, from what we've chatted about, have always had that quality within you, right? Like in school, or
Mhm.
if you, what factor do you think it is as to why you have that and other people don't have that capacity to pretty much kick into neutral to be able to listen to what someone else is saying?
As a kid, when I was a kid, a lot of my older cousins would talk to me about stuff. And a lot of times I just wanted to watch my cartoons. So I figured if I listen to them, I'll get to watch my cartoons. But then I started to listen to them and go, oh, they just needed to get that off their chest. They didn't really want an answer or a solution. They just needed to say their truth. Because that's what a lot of times we all need, is to just say it. Because holding it in can hurt so much and become so heavy.
Right. It's like a sounding board, safe
Yeah.
sounding board. So apart from your natural disposition, do you do anything to help yourself stay in that more listening space? If you notice if you're stressed, you sort of move out of it. Do you have anything that you do to help yourself?
Um, when I get stressed, um, I watch a lot of Japanese anime. Like, and this is
Those
why.
people are stressed. They're stressed. Japanese, they are stressed out and their emotions are huge.
Exactly. But you know what it does? It pushes all that noise to the back because this isn't even real. Like, they're walking and floating on trees, and they're shooting fire out of their mouth. They're uh, they're doing all these extraordinary things. And so it just starts to push the noise in my head to the background. Or if that's not it, uh, and I found this out a little while later in life, about 5 or 6 years ago, I found this out watching fire. Like, I'll go to I have a fireplace in my backyard, and sitting outside and just watching the fire is relaxing,
Is it
calming.
flame? There's the flame, the
Yeah, that's it. Just,
sort of almost into a hypnotic state, right? Brings the brain
yeah,
sort of somewhere else.
it keeps me at a place of, it zens me out. Like, if that's even if that's a word or phrase.
Yeah, well, yeah, it is overused, right?
Yeah.
But it takes the mind to a place that is elsewhere, right? It's a distraction, right?
Yes.
It distracts, takes the mind elsewhere. And often people think of meditation being that, right? And those of you who might be watching this because Willis is on it will be like, what is this channel? If you go into the description, you can see a little bit more about Aware Meditation Inc. and the nonprofit and that its venture. You'll also see where there are links if you go to awaremeditation.com/rise up comedy. What we're doing is also linking comedy and lifting up comedy and the elements and mental health awareness with that. But if you're curious about what our main staple of meditation is, here is a little image here. You'll see it, and it should be next to where Willis is, of Vedic meditation stories. It's fabulously backwards right now, I think. And there's a QR code there that will take it to the Amazon page, where if you have Amazon Unlimited, it's free. And this is the only publication globally with true stories from people who've learned this practice. There may be a page each, many of them from underrepresented groups who would never have had this opportunity to learn before. And we have stories of people who, yes, maybe due to mental health, they would have tried to off their life, and they've lived, and they've worked with medical professionals and now have found that meditations help them have less stress. Because whenever we're at the effect of stress, whatever is our weakest area or what comes up actually then will come to the forefront. So if we deal with stress regularly, then that won't happen. So people always say, oh, can I lose weight if I learn the meditation? Well, if stress is a fraction as to why you are overeating, then possibly. If you find that you might have a medical condition that when you're overly stressed, it activates certain activities and you want to lessen those, then yes. So we deal with stress reduction techniques, and you can find out about that meditation practice there. If there was anything that you would say to your former self, what would it be?
Never hold back.
Do you think that you did hold back?
Yeah. There are times when I held back. Never hold back, or never think you can't express your greatness.
So would you say you held back with safety versus vulnerability?
Yes.
The lesson is be open to be vulnerable. That's actually the biggest lesson for Divine Masculine, just so you know, energetically.
Yeah.
I really need to know that, but that is the truth. So Willis, it has been lovely chatting to you. We have gone from romantic relationships to knowing one's inner truth and being vulnerable. I think we have quite a broad range here. If you want to learn more about Willis, all his details are in the description. Please send your love to him in the chat, like, share, and please subscribe to help the channel. The more people we have watching, the more it helps, and any donations are appreciated to the nonprofit. Or if you're watching and you know an organization that might want to have some outreach meditation and what we do, please just drop us a line. We're always looking to collaborate and expand. So with that, I'm going to say thank you so much for joining us and Willis for this wonderful cosmic